the fact that the fact that they would lose in 7 last year, right, with Brunson basically playing hero ball, and then come back the next year against the same Pacers team and lose again, but lose it in one fewer game with an all-star, all-NBA big man in Towns. It says something, I think, about the way Jalen Brunson plays, the way that the Knicks play offense, um, and not just with Towns, with Mikal Bridges also, who they didn't have last year. So with more talent, they lost to the same team in one fewer game. And I think that, uh, like I said, Brunson, basically what it says is that Brunson plays hero ball no matter how much talent that he has around him. And now I'm a fan of hero ball, right? Like I think hero ball. I'd rather have somebody who plays hero ball than somebody who just worries about his field goal percentage and makes sure that every shot that he takes is a great shot, right? Um, but um, I think that but it's a size thing, man. And I said this over and over, and I in the title of my last video I put up, because I talked about it. It's impossible to talk about when you're talking about the Knicks with Brunson. Um, but Becky Hammond, she said it, that a few years ago people got upset that she thought Jalen Brunson was too small to be the best player on a championship team. And basically, I mean, it's just impossible to watch that series that you just watched and not come to that conclusion. A little 6'2" guy like that who's really, I mean, Brunson's a guy who gets a lot out of a little, right? He's really an overachiever. This is not an Isaiah Thomas or an Allen Iverson or a Chris Paul, one of these really like just naturally gifted basketball players that can go out and dominate the game. This is someone who's he's small, he's not that athletic, but he's worked on his craft so much that he's turned himself into a great player, right? Even somebody like the other Isaiah Thomas, the 5'9" Isaiah Thomas. Um, he's really somebody, and he's a lefty too. He's somebody that Isaiah Thomas even is more talented than someone like a Jalen Brunson, right? But Jalen Brunson is someone who he works really hard, and he turned himself into a great player. But and what he's done is great. Like he got the Knicks to the conference finals. He's made the Knicks relevant again for the first time since that like one Carmelo year where they made the second round. What he's done is great, and you can tell the city they really love this team. But I mean, like I said, but this is not. I grew up watching Allen Iverson, who carried that Philly team, to the finals. And all he had was a defensive center in Mutombo, and then just a bunch of, role players, and he got them to the finals. And Brunson with a Cat and Anunoby and Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart, he couldn't quite get them there. So I think it just speaks to it is what it is. He's a very, very good player. He's an excellent player. He's a great player. But when it came down to it, one team's best player is 6'5", and he moves the ball and plays the point guard position the way it's supposed to be played. And the other guy's best player is 6'2", and he hogs the ball. And the guy who's 6'5", who moves the ball, his team won. And people have been saying, well, the Pacers have the better team. But like I said, man, the Pacers really don't have better players than the Knicks. They just play a better brand of basketball. And now I think if you look at it, and it's already questions about, well, what do the Knicks do now? Do they bring the same core back, or do they try to maybe, make a move for Giannis? And my take on that has been, and this, was talking about from the second that Giannis got eliminated from the playoffs this year, the Bucks did. But is that something that could be a possibility? Giannis to New York, because Giannis is reportedly interested in playing for a big market. And my thing is, if Giannis and uh, if Giannis and if Giannis and Dame didn't work, then why would Giannis and Brunson work? Because somebody's going to have to, and I think really what Milwaukee should have done is, Dame tried to come in and fit himself around Giannis. And I think Dame should have come in. Dame would basically like pick his spots. Like he'd wait until Giannis was off the court to take over. When I think what it really should have been is that Dame should have come in and just been Dame, and then let Giannis be Giannis. I really don't think it would have been that much of a conflict if they had done it that way. But that's not what they did. And so so that was kind of my thinking though. But as I think about it now, and I guess I'm thinking my way through this. If the Knicks got Giannis right, and Brunson, I don't know, bro. It's a conflict because obviously Brunson can't be the best player on the championship team, but can Giannis be the best player on the championship team? I mean, we know he already has been, but can he in 2025 still be the best player on the championship team? I kind of feel like he's kind of the problem himself. That he won that title in 2021, and nobody will ever be able to take it away from him. But his game almost feels a little bit, as dominant as he is. If you're talking about trying to win championships, his game almost feels a little bit outdated in 2025. And if you look at the conference finals this year, it was Edwards and Shea and Halliburton and Brunson. So you got four guards, right? The best players on the team. Last year it was Halliburton and Tatum and Brown, and then in the West it was Luka and Edwards, right? So 4 straight years where you have guards or wings dominating, the playoffs. And I just wonder if Giannis, who is somebody who gets most of his points in the paint, like it's great. He puts up numbers in the regular season. As long as he's healthy, his team is always going to be, pretty good. But I just don't know if Giannis in 2025 is as impactful as he was a few years ago. As the game moves more and more to 3-point shooting, and more to guards and wings dominating the game, and it's been like that for a while. But like Giannis kind of really just doesn't have the same type of impact that he used to have. And I think that when they broke up that team in Milwaukee, that was that didn't work. And I don't know. I just don't know how it. I don't know. It's like a catch-22. Like if Giannis is the if Giannis goes to New York, right, and I'm guessing Cat would be involved. Cat would have to go to Milwaukee. Now it's Brunson and Giannis, right? Now if they do it the way that they did it in Milwaukee, with was Giannis and Dame, and Brunson takes the back seat and picks his spots, right? Well, okay, that just didn't work when it already didn't work when it was Giannis and Dame. And then if Giannis goes to Milwaukee and they go, okay, well, Giannis, Jalen's not going to change his game. Jalen's going to do what he does. And then you're so great, you'll still be able to get your numbers and, do what you do. Well, that's still kind of like, I don't know. I mean, it's like, can you win a championship with Jalen Brunson playing the way that Jalen Brunson plays? It's kind of like he wouldn't be the best player on the team, but as someone who has the ball as much as he does. And, I mean, we just saw that didn't work. So I think it might be in the best interest of the Knicks to um, to I don't know, make some more minor changes around this core that they have. And remember that next year, uh, no Tatum, uh, Milwaukee. I mean, Giannis will probably be traded, but even if he isn't, I mean, they're not going to be in the mix. So it's basically, I mean, the East is going to be wide open once again, right? And of course, the funny thing about it all is that the person that they really should be looking at trading if you were the Knicks would be Brunson, because he's too small. He needs somebody bigger if he want a chance to win the championship. But I think you got to remember the Knicks haven't won since '73, and you watch this playoff run, and you have the guys from the '90s come, the games, Larry Johnson and John Starks and Ewing and all these guys who, they had teams that made, the finals a couple times, then a bunch of conference finals, stuff like that. So they were contenders, but they never actually, won. They didn't win a championship. And I think the Knicks are okay with a team of hard hat guys who play hard. People talk about Thibodeau, with the Knicks move on from Thibodeau. Well, Thibodeau was a Knicks type of coach. Like, the lineage is there. I mean, Riley was the man, and Van Gundy was on Riley's staff. And then Van Gundy became the man, and Thibodeau was on Van Gundy's staff. So the Knicks are the type of city, or have the type of fan base where if you play hard and you're a contender, that's enough for them, because they're not used to winning championships. So if the Knicks keep this core together and they keep making the conference finals, maybe they make a finals or something like that, it'll be bittersweet if they never win a championship. But I mean, for the Knicks, I mean, like I said, look how much they love, Spreewell and Grandmama and Allen Houston and Ewing and Starks and Oakley and all those guys from the '90s. They still love those guys, and they never won a championship. So this is a Knicks. This is exactly the type of team that you would expect the Knicks to have, which is a really good team that's not quite good enough to win a championship. But they, excite the fan base, and because of the way that they play, because they play so hard, that it, the fan base has great admiration and love for them. So, yeah, I think it would be better for the Knicks if they were to, since they're not going to trade Jalen Brunson, it would be better for them to make maybe some minor tweaks around the margins, and then just run it back with this same team, and see what happens. Now, I want to say something briefly about, because I mentioned Giannis, right? And I was listening yesterday to The Odd Couple. That's Rob Parker now, and it's Rob Parker, and now it's Kelvin Watson. It used to be Chris Broussard. But they were saying, well, because obviously Giannis has also been linked to the Spurs. Spurs obviously have the number 2 pick and all these assets. So you already have you have Wemby, you have De'Aaron Fox, you have Stephon Castle, who just won the Rookie of the Year, and you have Devin Vassell, you have Keldon Johnson, you have Jeremy Sohan. You got a lot of nice pieces there, and now they have the number 2 pick in the draft, right? And you look at it, And I look at it, I feel like they have a gluttony of. You don't need Fox. Of course, the number two pick in the draft, or I should say the number two ranked prospect in the draft is by consensus is Dylan Harper, Ron Harper's son, the kid out of Rutgers, right? Um, it goes Flag and then Harper and then Bailey, and I think it's pretty much set in stone, right? And so, kind of like if you it's a situation where, let's say the Spurs say, well, we already have enough guards, right? But we could use an Ace Bailey, right? Who's a really talented wing. Uh, but they probably wouldn't take Ace Bailey second. They would probably trade the pick down. They would probably, or they would swap picks with, or they would take they would take Harper and trade him for who has the third pick? It's Philly, right? But Philly doesn't need Harper either. But however it worked, it's like when in '94, right? When the was it '94? Was it 93? When the Magic had the number one pick and they took Chris Webber and then traded him to Golden State, who had the second pick, for Penny Hardaway, right? Now, why didn't the Magic just take Penny Hardaway with the first overall pick? Right? Because Chris Webber was obviously the that's a conversation all on its own. It's like, why do teams do that? It's like if one guy is like the consensus number one prospect, but he's like it'd be a better fit to take somebody else instead of just taking the other guy with the first overall pick. They'll take the other guy and then trade with the other team. But instead of just taking Penny number one overall, they said no, we'll take Weber and then just trade him to to Golden State. It's silly when you think about it, but that's how they do it. And so I think that like I said, man, you can say whatever you want. I saw the write up about it, about what do you call it? The Spurs, it seems like the Spurs are just going to take the best player available in Harper, who Harper profiles as like a James Harden type, 6'6", left-handed, big guard who can do a lot of different things, right? But like I said, you don't need Fox and Castle and Dylan Harper. That's a logjam at that guard position. So now, and I also think that Ace Bailey, though, I think Ace Bailey would not. I don't think Dylan Harper would. Those two guys went to Rutgers. Who the hell goes to Rutgers to play basketball? They basically went to Rutgers because they knew if they went to Rutgers, they could just do whatever they wanted to do, right? And Rutgers went, I don't even know what their record was. I don't even think they finished 500. If they did, it was maybe 500 or barely over 500. They were not good, right? So they basically just went there because, well, we had to do something for a year before we went to the league. Let's go to Rutgers and do whatever we want to do, right? And so now that's not the type of people that the Spurs have. The Spurs have winning players with winning mentality and team mentality, right? So that going back to Giannis, is that a situation where the Spurs, package that pick and maybe a couple of other assets I said and some other picks and make the move for Giannis? I don't know. Or do you just try to, maybe, deal the pick in some other way for some other pieces and just try to win a little bit more organically than adding such a huge piece like a Giannis, Like I said, bro, Giannis is such a huge piece that he just changes the very, makeup of your team, you know. And like I said, but I don't know if Giannis I don't think that his game. When I say his game is not aging well, I don't mean that in the sense of how Galvez used to talk about Blake Griffin, right? Like Galvez used to say, well, Blake Griffin, because his game is so much based on athleticism that once he hits, 30, his game is not gonna. I don't mean it like that. I meant in terms of uh, the it's the way that the game is just constantly moving more and more towards 3-point shooting and guards and wings, dominating somebody like Giannis who doesn't shoot threes and gets all his stuff in the paint. It's like he's sort of becoming outdated in that sense. Not that he still is. I think Giannis Giannis is like a LeBron or a Westbrook, that type of. And Blake Griffin was too, is a freak of nature athlete, but the injuries took a toll on Blake Griffin, and by the time he was 30, he wasn't the same, guy anymore. But Giannis seems like one of those guys like a LeBron or a Westbrook. I always remember when the guy, Costa Legend, said about Steve Smith, number 89, Smitty will never be washed, right? Steve Smith was just one of those athletes who, he's always going to be able to do what he does. And I think that Giannis is one of those guys too, probably. One of those super freak athletes like that, who's always going to be able to, be one of the best athletes on the court. But I think as far as, the way that the direction of the game continues to move, that maybe Giannis is not the asset that he would have been 5 years ago, right?